Yes, yes, people. Hello and welcome. Right, today I want to talk about film Django from 1966. Franco Nero plays the titular Django, directed by Sergio Corbucci. This is an Italian film. Obviously, many of you could have watched like the, American westerns, but the Italians also dipped their foot in the western genre, and for good reason. They had some great ideas, obviously going off of the tropes of westerns anyway, but they came up with their own stories. And when you've got a man like Franco Nero, he is dangerously handsome, especially with that cowboy hat. So yeah, you've got some great performances in and some great great looking sort of actors in these Italian westerns. Django. I originally where did I find out about Django? When did I find? Well, it must have been Django Unchained, Quentin Tarantino's film. But that didn't pique my interest enough to go and search out Franco Nero's work or the original Django films. There's a collection of them anyway. I think they all star different actors. Um, but a couple of years ago, I came across Django from '66 on TV. Fell in love with it, and then sort out the Blu-ray. Now I've watched it for a second time, and my love for it hasn't died. It's grown because now I'm like, just like a film that you've watched many times, you can sort of find all the inner secrets of the film and find things you didn't see the first time, and fall in love with the things you did love anyway, and praise them all the more. The thing that stands out for me in this film is very clear and obvious. It's the motif or the gimmick of Django carrying around a coffin. So he does that for a large part of the film, and remarkable for me. It's ridiculously cool. One of the coolest things I've ever seen on film. Um, it works for me. It's deliciously sort of like mysterious. And because Django comes across as such a badass, like he could deal with any situation, he's so calm and collected, and that's a massive uh, positive I can say about this film because it is playing in the Western genre. It is a Western film, so there's certain criteria you have to fit. And Django is cool, calm, and collected. He's a massive turn on for the ladies. He handles his business. He conducts himself in a respectful manner, and he deals with bad guys. And he sort of has his own moral code, whether that be he's a murderer, of course, and he dishes his own sort of revenge, but he's also smart and calculated when he needs to be, which isn't always um, like a behavior of these Western heroes where they just shoot it out and be done with it. No, like Django is seen as this. For me, he just looks as if he can never lose any sort of confrontation and anything that he tries his hand at, especially when it comes to like combat or violence. Um, but then there are moments in the film that like the tables turn, and that's when we sort of see, I mean, the acting from Franco Nero when he's sort of more vulnerable, which is really nice to see. um because I mean, a lot of the acting in this film is like stiff. It's sort of like reading the lines and sort of like only being there, the dialogue being there for the plot, to flesh out who's the good guys, who's the bad guys, who are the people in the middle, um getting caught in the crossfire, should we say, like, because it's set in this sort of like a small town that's terribly dry, and all the characters and actors on show are sweating profusely. They're just wet. And it's such a dangerous and lawless land. I think that's like a massive credit I can give this film. It's just so lawless, and it's danger just in you know every aspect of of the lives of these characters. Let me refer to some notes. I'm not going around in circles and missed anything. Well, the theme, Django. I mean, it's a testament to the film. The credits, the opening credits with that theme is, and it plays at the beginning. And oh, it's incredible! It's one of the greatest theme songs ever. Fits the character so well. The lyrics, yeah, that theme is amazing, and that's one of my hobbies when it comes to watching films. Is which films have great opening credits, visual wise as well. Not many do, and also the theme music. When that's there, it's such a it raises that film's profile up for me, and it's like yeah, so much. I want to mention the fact that it's filmed like it was filmed on film, being from 1966, and although like there's not like the color palette is not vast, being that it's in this sort of like I say dry sort of part of the world and season, it you wouldn't think that I would be praising its color, but even like all the dark colors, your blues, your blacks, like and your beiges, your tan colors, they all stand out for me. Everything I just really liked all the visuals and the reds. Often red does stand out on film, but yeah, the red like the hoods, the bandanas, just really stood out for me, and especially it being on antagonists when they sort of come into frame on like horseback, ready to terrorize people. It really all stood out to me. Um, yeah, I mean, I've mentioned, Franco Nero does a good job in the Western genre, being commanding, stealing the scenes, being the authority figure in every scene that he's in, until the plot demands that he really goes through struggles, and it's brilliant to see. And it's all because you know these macho dudes, which is which defines the Western genre. Um, when they are brought to their knees, it's all the more shocking because they're, from all we've seen of them, they're so terribly sort of they demand respect everywhere they go, and then they're brought to their knees, and you see them sort of overcome that, and it's that's the beauty of the Western genre, really. Must say the atmosphere could be better. I mean, everything is sort of like the dialogue is all sort of there to sort of drive the plot forward. So there could be more experimentation in the dialogue to sort of flesh some extras out. Um, yeah, the atmosphere, because like these bad guys are sort of like terrorizing the sort of like the tavern owners, and the women that frequent these bars that work there. It could be, we could have done more atmosphere. We could have done more with that. Just to make these antagonists out as people that every time they show their face, like it's bad news. We see that from the scenes, but yeah, atmosphere could be elevated, because we get like we get some exposition, but a bit of a mix between exposition and showing the badassery from the bad guys could be better. Um, I must say it's interesting how mixed with like the visuals we get of this like hostile ground. It's also interesting that they mention that the war has ended in this time period, but yet the violence and uh, the violence is ingrained in all these characters, the good guys and the bad characters. Um, yes, an easily digestible plot that sometimes threatens to be a little bit muddled with like new guys coming into the scene that are good guys, some turncoats. So yeah, it's a digestible plot, but does threaten to sort of like get a bit too much crammed into an easily digestible plot, should I say? Um, Yeah, and it's interesting how with the plot, Franco Nero handles himself brilliantly. He could solo this film. He could solo many films, and it's interesting that Kabuchi decides to the way he introduced action into this film. Nero handles some bits by himself in audacious, tremendously fun situations in fashion. But when Kabuchi introduces new characters, um, we see the sort of traditional sort of Western like shootout scenes on like horseback, mountains. The scope really opens up for the film, which is nice to see for brief periods, because we're just stuck in this sort of tavern with these sort of not even necessarily one on ones. Nero will take on 40 man, but yeah, then the scope opens up. But yeah, it's just interesting how we can go from like half of the film being a Nero led film to then opening up to all these more characters, with some great music to accompany the action scenes, actually. Um, yeah, there's one scene in particular where I think Kabuchi had, I would say, a lot of fun, but we had more fun than him. It may have been a quite a audacious task for Kabuchi, because there's a scene where Django fights someone in a bar, maybe three-quarters of the way through, and it's filmed from all these different angles. We've got like overhead shots, we've got POV shots, we've got shots from behind people's back, we've got shots from sort of like the audience, if you like the audience in the film watching Nero fight this other dude. and it's just tremendous. I really enjoyed it. I don't see that much from there's films action, combat scenes, one-on-one scenes of filmed in all sorts of ways, in all manner of speaking, low budget to high budget, but just the way that Kabuchi does it here, really it's really entertaining. Um, Now, so let's go on to my favorite part of the film, apart from the reveal of what's in the coffin. Um, um, it's This is further into the story. This is over the halfway point. Um, Django has had some help from some protagonists, but they don't seem like really nice dudes. Like I say, everyone in this film is not morally sort of like wired right. I mean, given the hostile condition of the land. Um, no, Django is told to go out back with this girl so he can have some fun with without her permission. But he's got his head screwed on straight, so he tells her to sort of she's okay, she's not going to be harmed, whilst he drags his coffin up the stairs, ready for his next dastardly um, idea, and it's just brilliant because like we get to see like the heart of the man where he's not all bad, where like because we've yeah. So, because he does come across as a dude that is capable of anything, he just comes across not necessarily mean, but just like he's capable of anything. He's a menace to society. Django is, I do think, even though he's a good guy. So yeah, when he lets the girl be, drags the coffin up the stairs. There's like frivolous partying going on in different like areas of that scene. Drinking and whatnot, and then there's this music, this sort of like soft music going on, but all just building up to this moment where Django just wreaks havoc on everyone, in a way that sort of like establishes Django as like more smart than brutish, from what he does to avoid combat, but still land a blow on who he sees fit. Now we're getting to the end of this review now. So yeah, into the last leg of the film where we're ramping up to the finale. Django is brought to his knees, which is a shock. It really is a shock because up to that point, I thought he could literally take on the Hulk. So yeah, that was really shocking. But like I say, this is where Nero gets to showcase his acting with vulnerability, and the theme starts to rise and rise and rise at this point. When it looks like Nero might not be able to handle the big bad, and there's this like wind that's just whistling throughout the land as he's sort of like setting up his final sort of standoff. It's beautiful with his back torn up and his hands mangled. It's incredible. So to wrap up this review, what the film does best for me, there's 4 points I've got here. Making Django just like a Terminator, a badass. Painting the land as hostile as it did. Giving the women some action. So oftentimes women are sidelined, just for they're just there for their looks or for the plot. And although it's not perfect what they do like fight in the mud a little bit over over their sort of opinions on what Django's doing there and what the bad guys are capable of. But I mean, at least the women had some action, right? And some actual action, not just talking, not just lip service. They're getting down and fighting in the mud. And then finally, putting the hero on their knees, for them to then rise to the occasion. Yeah, so that's my review of Django. Really enjoyed it. I hope you guys can check it out if you haven't. It's a must watch for me. Thank you very much.